Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1660B, and today's date is September 10th, 2018, and the title of the episode is T-0, Prepare for the Release, the Storm is Here. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, it looks like what Trump and the Patriots have done, and what Q has been telling us, is that they set everything up and they're ready to release the 20 pages of FISA and declassify all this information. And we know from Q that when this is done, a lot of people are going to reject it. Most likely the mainstream media is not even going to cover it, or maybe they'll cover it a little bit. They'll put a spin on it. And I think what's going to happen later on is they're going to bring out even more information. And I think in the process of doing all this, they needed to bring Clinton, Obama into the public eye. And we can see they push them into bringing out these sleeper cells because the deep state thought they needed them at this time, and they're using the ammunition, just like Q has been telling us, and they're bringing these people out. And I think that all this is being done on purpose because they want them out in the spotlight right now. They want people to remember these individuals, to see them, to hear them speak, because when the FISA comes out, they're going to be looking at these people and saying, well, wait a minute. Did you lie to the American people? Did you actually do this? And what else have you done here? Now, of course, it's not going to play out just like that. A lot of people are going to come out and say, we don't believe it. Trump's a liar. He's a racist. We don't believe any of this stuff. But remember, Trump has been separating himself from all of this. He has a report that he did not write. This was investigated. And what's going to happen is this is just the beginning stages. They're going to release this to get the ball rolling, to get people used to the idea that these people were behind these nefarious type of acts. And then they're going to start releasing other things, taking the indictments, the 45 to 50,000 indictments, and all of a sudden we're going to see arrests because the news will come out that these people were part of a bigger plan. And you can't just dump this on the American people because a lot of people will flip out. They're trying to minimize the damage. And we know the deep state is going to lash back. Once all this comes back, they're going to react to all of this. And we know from Q that they've been planning some type of retaliation. This might be on the scale of 9/11 or even bigger. But we can see that it is coming. And it's coming very quickly. And we're going to be getting into all of this and what Q has been saying, bringing us all up to date of when this is about to happen. But let's start off with Obama here. And let's go back in time when Obama was president, because we need to put all this in context, because these people just come out and say, oh, look, you're not allowing the press freedom to speak the way they want. They should have the ability to do this. And Obama was giving speeches because he's out in the forefront now, and he blasted Trump in a deeply hypocritical speech that criticized his successor's frequent clashes with the mainstream media. But he forgot to mention the fact that his own administration spied on reporters and even forced government employees to take lie detector tests as part of a war on free press. In 2010, Obama's Department of Justice began secret surveillance of James Rosen, then Fox News chief Washington correspondent, in the wake of his reports on American monitoring of North Korea's nuclear program. Gee, we now know why Obama was very concerned about this and didn't want anyone reporting on real information of what was going on in North Korea. They collected Rosen's phone conversations and emails with sources and even kept tabs on the reporter's parents and accused the reporter of being the co-conspirator of a State Department whistleblower. The surveillance did not come to light until 2013. Obama's Department of Justice also seized records for 20 phone lines at the Associated Press, used by more than 100 reporters in 2013, and subpoenaed emails and calls between the New York Times reporters and government officials. So he was keeping tabs. He was spying on these reporters, making sure they didn't report on anything that was going on outside of what they wanted everyone to hear. And right now he's criticizing Trump. And you can see that this is kind of ridiculous. Trump is just out there saying, stop reporting fake news. Tell the truth. Do investigative reporting. Don't use anonymous sources, which is being fed to you by the intelligence agencies. Find out what is really going on by really reporting. That's all Trump is doing. He's not spying on the media. He's calling them out on the fake stories. We have another casualty in a sexual harassment allegation. Add this one to the list. This is CBS CEO Les Moonves, and he is stepping down now, so we have another individual. We see right now that the White House, they're coordinating a second Trump-Kim meeting after Trump received a letter from Kim Jong Un. It was a very positive letter, and it looks like they're setting up a new time and place to have a second meeting. Now, out in Syria, we see things are really heating up there. We know that Russia and Syria, they are bombing the Idlib area. This is the last holdout of all the paid mercenary armies, the Islamic State, moderate rebels, the deep state, their infrastructure, their chemical weapons, you name it, it is there. Now, Russia is accusing the U.S. of white phosphorus attack in Syria. They're saying that we have reports that U.S. planes or certain coalition planes are using white phosphorus in the area. Now, the U.S. is saying we don't have any planes whatsoever that have white phosphorus on board. Now, again, we need to remember that the deep state used white phosphorus before. Israel uses white phosphorus. And we can see they are using maybe unmarked planes, maybe a UK plane or another plane, to dump white phosphorus on the Syrian forces. We need to think logically here. Let's go back in time. Obama took away all of the targeting of the Islamic State. He said, you know something, my office will handle this. We will tell you what targets to hit. Took it away from the military. When Trump came into power, he gave it back to the military and said, no, you're better equipped to pick out the targets. Remember, Trump has all the generals and admirals surrounding him. Trump has also removed the funding for the white helmets, stopped the rebel training camps in Jordan, removed the funding to the Kurdish armed forces. And the military is actually hitting the Islamic State targets, going after all these regions. And yes, Trump fired missiles twice now into Syria, and the Islamic State, the moderate rebels, the Al-Qaeda forces, al-Nusra, their land that they had shrunk down into this one little area, which is Idlib. Why would Trump at this point think it's the right time to have regime change in Syria, where he's done a 180, and now we have to protect Idlib? It makes no sense. This is really the deep state. This is the disinformation coming out of the intelligence agencies. There's no reason for him to all of a sudden say, let's go after Assad after the forces have been weakened and you're surrounded in Idlib. It makes no sense whatsoever. So we can see right now that the intelligence agencies, the mainstream media, they're trying to paint this picture that Trump is trying to get Assad once again. Now, the Wall Street Journal, I should say, has just published a bombshell on Sunday evening as Russia and Syria warplanes, bomb the entire area. Citing an unnamed U.S. official, claims that Assad has approved the use of chlorine gas, an offense against the country's last major rebel stronghold. Does that make any sense? Why would he use chlorine gas? He has the whole country. Russia and Syria have Idlib surrounded. And this is an unnamed source, and they know exactly that he gave the order. He knows that they have the chemical weapon that they're using, but they can't name the source. And it goes on to say that Trump is undecided over whether to fire missiles at this area or not to fire missiles. Now, I'm going to tell you, most likely he's not even involved in this. The Wall Street Journal is just making all this up. This is the last chance for the deep state to protect their area. And Trump continually says, this better not be a humanitarian fiasco with Russia. You better be careful. He's really talking to the deep state. Be careful in what you do here. Be careful with the chemical weapons. Be careful what you try to do in this area, because it won't be easy for you if you try something that's going to hurt a lot of civilians. That's who he's really talking to. He's not talking to Putin. He's not talking to Assad. He's talking to the deep state and all the terrorists there. Now, what's very interesting is Richard Black, a Virginia state senator, has returned from a trip to Syria and says he has uncovered evidence that Britain's MI6 intelligence service is planning an imminent chemical weapons attack on the Syrian people. And then he came back and clarified he doesn't mean Britain itself or the MI6 itself. They're instructing the terrorists to go ahead and release the chemicals on the people of Syria, so they can blame all of this on Assad. He also said some chemical attacks previously reported to have occurred in Syria were British fakes pulled off with the help from volunteers from first responders known as the White Helmets. Wow, the truth is coming out now. All that conspiracy is coming out. We have a senator who actually visited Syria and found out the truth. So here we are right now. We have the U.S. and British forces and other coalition forces in Idlib. They are surrounded. There's no place for them to go. All the paid mercenary armies, they're surrounded. This is the last battle. The deep state is done after this, and they know it. Let's move into Q's post here. Let's start off with post 2120. And Q put up, this is from Anonymous, new shill tactic is to smear Sean Hannity. Just so everyone understands, Q has directly told us to watch Hannity. Q also links us to Sarah Carter, who is literally on Hannity every single night. Hannity is a patriot. And basically, they're going after everyone right now. Anyone that counters the deep state story, they're going to be going after this because they know what's coming. Q then posted 2121, and there's two links here to a Twitter feed. This is Thomas Drake, and it says, and Thomas Drake says, brought to my attention that JTFMAGA.com website has me prominently listed as part of their team. False. Can categorically state I am not on their team. I am not part of JTF MAGA, was never contacted by them, and do not support them. Leaves major cues about their integrity. Very interesting. Thomas Drake also said, heard reportforthepresident.org claiming I'm prominently behind it with my image on their website. However, I disavow any connection of any kind, am not part of their team, was never contacted, and they're using my name without my consent or permission in blatantly false advertising. So when we look at this, we see that JTF MAGA was created by journalist Jack Posobiec, the same one who has been pushing the microchip is QAnon hoax for some time now. So Jack Posobiec tweeted out this a while ago. Months ago, I announced a task force of pro-Trump vets, and IC was forming. We never stopped working on it. Many of the deep state stories you've read lately came from these 80-plus whistleblowers and American heroes. Now we have a name. JTF MAGA is coming. Mr. Binney himself is reporting for duty. The White Hats are punching back. And in case it's not obvious from the page itself, JTF MAGA is one gigantic honeypot. The goal is to get patriotic Americans to sign up and take the oath. And once you sign up, you're on the deep state list. And not only is Posobiec involved, who else is involved? Well, we see Jerome Corsi. We see a tweet there from JTF MAGA. Keep it going at Jerome Corsi. People need to hear the truth about what's going on out there in the real world. Now, the second site that Drake mentioned is pretty much the same, but it's more of an intelligence community type of site or spin to it. And it purports to be run by a bunch of folks close to the intelligence community, ones that claim to support Trump and want to give him intelligence that he supposedly doesn't already have. And we can see that these things are completely fake, phony, and false. And this is why Q is letting everyone know, so you don't go to these sites and sign up, and you need to steer clear of these sites. post 2122, Anonymous put up, I love shills now at this point. Even when this is over, some Mossad clown asshole will still be typing useless division tactics out of his frayed handbook onto an empty board. Some people just don't know when they have lost. And Q put up, last and final comments. AJ and Associates attempts logical thinking. Put up a link to Twitter, which is Jack Posobiec, which we will get into in a minute. Let me just finish this post from Q. And then there's a time under it, says 21 seconds, and it says Breitbart article linked 2 days prior to the article being published. Reconcile. Note the time, 9:41, 100%. Note Apple's stock images, 9:41, 100%. Reconcile. Put up another link to YouTube, says reconcile. Put up another Twitter link to Jack Posobiec. Another one to threadreadrap.com. Reconcile. Attempts to deceive. Autist Annans will fail. We are a threat to their livelihood plus class. Do not let their attempts corrupt good organizations. Think. OANN. They want you divided. Stay strong. Stay together. And put up a link to Twitter, a tweet by Tucker Carlson. Division keeps them in power. So let's go over this. Q linked to a very special video by Jack Posobiec, and it shows him scrolling through different tweets and stuff, and Microchip is on there, and told us to look at 21 seconds. And when we look at this, we can see that the date of this message that was there was September 14th, 2017. Microchip was pointing to an article, a Breitbart article, that was 9/16, September 16th. So Microchip posted this on September 14th, but was giving us a link to a story that was on September 16th. And this is back in 2017. So how did Microchip time travel into the future from September 14th? Something doesn't make sense. And this is what Q is pointing out, that they're able to change their messages willy-nilly. And it's not done with code, it's done with Photoshop. And then Q puts up another video of how someone was able to do this through Photoshop on the fly. So Q is just showing us that these people are completely fake. And Microchip continually says that he's QAnon and he's going to end QAnon any day. Well, why doesn't he just come on the boards and say, I'm Microchip, end? That's it, if he's really QAnon. Instead of saying every day he's going to end it, it makes no sense. It's all fake, phony, and false. So the last tweet was from Tucker Carlson, and it's one of 6. And it says, the organized left is lying about a segment we did on Friday night. Our topic was diversity is our strength, a phrase our leaders use to end conversations rather than spur it. You hear it all the time. We ask, what exactly does it mean? Here are the words from our segment. How precisely is diversity our strength? Can you think of other institutions such as marriage or military units in which the less people have in common, the more cohesive they are? Do you get along better with your neighbors and coworkers if you can't understand each other or share no common values? And if diversity is our strength, why is it okay for the rest of us to surrender our freedom of speech to just a handful of tech monopolies? These are the questions our leaders out to be asking every day. How does a nation of 325 million people hang together? What do we all have in common as Americans? Why should we remain a country? Nothing is more important than answering this. But our leaders aren't even asking these questions. Instead, they're trying to silence anyone who raises them, while at the same time promoting mindless tribalism for political expedience. Division keeps them in power. What's at stake isn't a cable news segment. It's the existence of rational conversation in America. If they can prevent you from asking honest questions, there's nothing they can't do. More on this tomorrow night. Let's move on to post 2123. Q put up everything that we had in 2122, and down below put the picture of Microchip and that date of September 14th, just confirming that, yes, these dates don't match up. And then in post 2124, Q says, okay, just to show everyone, article date 9/16, post date 9/14. Q just spelled it out for everyone to make sure that everyone understands this is what Q was talking about. Post 21/25. Anonymous puts up, Q knowledge is power, thanks, and Godspeed. Q says, how do you know when something very big is about to drop? Attacks increase from all directions. Ready the memes. FISA corruption, in brackets, bold, all caps. You have more than you know. Keep up the good fight. We stand together. Let's move on to post 21/26. Put up a vote button. Your vote counts. Q says, we will do our job to protect the vote. Will you do yours? Fight, fight, fight. Go out and vote. Post 21/27. Q puts up, Saudi Arabia controlled U.S. puppets. Strings cut. D's dropping all around over sexual misconduct. First stage. Coincidence directly after Saudi Arabia? Don't you realize the war has gone public? List who will not be running for re-election. Coincidence? Phase 1. Easy to swallow. Loss of power, influence. Good time to prosecute. Just wait until next week. You are all patriots. Q. And under this, Q wrote, why are powerful, influential people resigning due to past sexual misconduct allegations? Why are these allegations now surfacing? 10-month span. Why now? Human trafficking arrests up. Saudi Arabia cooperating. Nexium. When does a bird sing? Eyes wide open. Put up a link to White House Gov briefing. President Donald Trump working to end human trafficking. Coincidence? Network being dismantled. Sheep no more. Q. So let's take a look at what Trump put up there. He put up, President Donald Trump is working to end human trafficking. My administration will focus on ending the absolutely horrific practice of human trafficking, and I am prepared to bring the full force and weight of our government, whatever we can do, in order to solve this horrific problem. And down below, I'll just read the first part of it. Human trafficking is an affront to human dignity, with millions of affected worldwide. Human trafficking is a global atrocity that deprives millions of their universal human rights. And he goes into what is going to be done about the children. And when we look at this, what is going on here? Well, Saudi Arabia is cooperating. Why are these allegations surfacing now? Because it's a countermeasure to Comey's 8-month sleeper cells and preparation for Red October. Nexium, when does a bird sing? So all those people that were abusing others sexually, they're now selling out those above them to save themselves. Because if Saudi Arabia right now is cooperating, those people who are involved in human trafficking and everything else, they're going to be brought down. Then Q mentions Eyes Wide Open, which is an obvious reference to Eyes Wide Shut, the movie. And if you haven't seen that, you should watch that because it really explains a lot. Another Anon, Lacey Liberty, came up with something very interesting. It says, when does a bird sing? And it's all capitals, B-I-R-D. And said, wow, this is very interesting. Gave a link and said, this is an acronym for the following: Budget Intelligence and Related Database. What is that? The purpose and objectives of BIRD. The BIRD database is the most complete automated source of resource data for intelligence and related activities for use by the Office of the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Staff. Again, military intelligence to track everything. When does this system sing? When does it let the information out? When they're good and ready. And it looks like they're good and ready. Post 2128, Q puts up the following. D-Class of FISA will initiate the resignation, recusal, and or removal of Rod Rosenstein. D-Class of FISA will initiate the awareness that all signers will be currently, in brackets, bold, caps, under investigation. D-Class of FISA will factually demonstrate without argument the U.S. government under Obama, knowingly presented false evidence to FISA in an effort to obtain legal U.S. intelligence umbrella surveillance of POTUS, the ident target, bold brackets, caps, for the sole purpose of influencing the 2016 election of the presidency. And this is brackets, bold caps, not Russia, but Hussein Clinton projection, plus safeguard against possible loss of power, firewalls, brackets, bold caps, use of back-channel surveillance, spy insertion, and this is brackets, bold caps, body 1, 2, and 5 by UK, Australia, primary, brackets, bold caps, activated under Director Brennan, Director Clapper, with PDB regular updates, plus live streaming. Now that's in caps, bold with brackets around it. White House, Hussein, non-oval, situation room, brackets, bold, all caps, coordination. FISA full, brackets, bold, the word full, brings down the House. And this is in brackets, bold, caps, White House. So let's look at this for a second here. Use of back-channel surveillance spy insertion, body 1, 2, and 5. Well, remember a couple reports ago, Q told us that Snow White, they were brought down, 125, post 577, and other posts. If you look at this, it says Director Clapper, Director Brennan, regular updates with Hussein in the situation room, live streaming. What does this mean? They have them on video. They caught Obama with Clapper, Brennan, and the others getting the updates on what they were doing. They're going to be caught in a major lie. This is a house of cards. It's all coming down. Post 2129. Q gives us a Twitter feed link, and this is tonight on Your Voice. Ann Vandersteel continues to expose deep state with an exclusive interview with Bill Binney, former technical director at NSA. This is explosive reporting, folks. 8 o'clock. We'll have to watch that and see what they're going to say there. Post 2130 puts up everything from Post 2129, but also gives us a link to Trump. And this is Trump's Twitter feed, and below that, it has brackets with 0:00, which means time is 0Q. So Trump's Twitter feed is, the storms in the Atlantic are very dangerous. We encourage anyone in the path of these storms to prepare themselves and to heed the warnings of state and local officials. The federal government is closely monitoring and ready to assist. We are with you. So, yes, there are hurricanes. Hurricane Florence is heading toward the Carolinas. There are other hurricanes within the Atlantic. But Annan decided to take what Trump said and translate it. And this is what it says. The storms, brackets, storm in all caps, in the Atlantic are very dangerous. D-class of FISA will overturn polite society, making life in America temporarily chaotic and unstable. We encourage anyone in the path of these storms, all Americans, to prepare themselves and to heed the warning of state and local officials. National preparedness. The federal government is closely monitoring the traitors and ready to assist, prosecute, execute. We are with you, patriots. And the time is 0. And it looks like everything is going to be coming out probably by the end of this week or the beginning of next week. A lot of people saying this week. Remember, we have the emergency preparedness test on the 20th. The 17th is Constitution Day, so it could be any time during this period. And we can see the President Q, what they're saying is be prepared for this. Not for the hurricanes, but you also have to be prepared for that, but for what else is coming. And it's going to hit hard. And it's very coincidental that we're having this major storm come in as another storm is coming in at the same time. It's very, very interesting how both storms are hitting the U.S. at the same time. Think about this for a second. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.